Hello, everybody. It's good to have you with us tonight. I didn't know I was an actor. I was wondering where that was going. It's really a delight to be able to be back down here in Orange County, right? It's been a little while, and we're committed to getting back down here much more often. It's really a thrill to be here. We have a really large alumni group here. We just love being reconnected with our alums, and so thank you for coming out and supporting this event tonight. The school's on the move. We're doing a number of things. We have a very exciting strategic plan. We call it Aspire 2025. And the North Star in that plan is to develop what we call best for the world leaders. Best for the world. Leaders who understand the impact and contribution of business on society and communities and conduct their business ethically and responsibly, yet innovatively. So best for the world. And so we've got some new faculty that have joined us over the last 4 or 5 years, really excellent faculty. We, of course, building that on the back of some tremendous faculty we already have, and many of you have been the beneficiaries of that. And I say to my faculty that they have an incredible responsibility, right, which is to imprint students with 2 things. One is values and ideas. And in our world today, isn't that important, right? We've all seen what happens when you decouple a leader from an ethical framework. It's not pretty, be it in business or politics or any realm for that matter. And so I think Pepperdine plays a very important role in developing leaders of the future that are best for the world. So thank you for being with us tonight. It is really my pleasure to introduce a really good friend of mine, and a former colleague who's now the Chief Executive Officer of Reyes Coca-Cola, Mr. Bill O'Brien. Bill, will you join me up on stage, please? You take that one there, and then I'll take this one, yeah.
Fantastic.
Oops. Are we all switched on? Oh, excellent. Now, I've got to get my eyes. I am getting to that stage where I cannot read this stuff without my glasses. As you can tell, I'm learning how to speak American as well. It's not, it's not glasses, it's glasses.
We might need wine for this.
Where's Bill's bio? Oh, here we go. Right. So Bill, thank you so much for carving out some time from your busy schedule. Bill serves, as I said, as the CEO of Reyes Coca-Cola Bottling, just literally a couple of blocks away from here, right?
Right.
A proud West Coast bottler and distributor of Coca-Cola products, operating in California and Nevada. It was formed in 2017 as a division of the Reyes Holdings business, one of the largest privately held companies actually in the world, and a global leader in the distribution of food and beverage products. They employ nearly 6,000 people and operate 32 facilities. During his more than 30-year career with the Coca-Cola system, Bill has served as the president, general manager of the West operating unit of Coca-Cola Refreshments, which was the large bottler that existed here prior to the Reyes acquisition. He was vice president and general manager of the West region. He was also senior vice president and general manager of our on-premise operations for Coca-Cola North America. Notice I still say our. It's really hard to kind of get that out of your system. And senior vice president of commercial leadership for CCNA's still beverage unit. And so many other incredible positions. Bill is a phenomenal leader, and I'm very, very privileged to have known Bill through my career at Coke and beyond. He joined Coca-Cola in an engineering role. I actually didn't know that. You're an engineer?
I tested vending machines.
Oh.
Now, my wife would dispute if I'm a real engineer, because she's a Georgia Tech graduate also, and she graduated with better honors.
So she's hardcore engineering, Georgia Tech, right? Excellent. So Bill joined in an engineering role. I didn't realize that, in Coca-Cola's bottle and can division, when we still had a bottle and can division. He completed his undergrad studies with a Bachelor of Industrial Engineering from Georgia Institute of Technology and completed his MBA from Georgia State University there in Atlanta. As an active member of the community, Bill volunteers with organizations like the Special Olympics for Southern California and serves as a board member of the American Beverage Association, LA 84 Foundation, and LA's Sports and Entertainment Commission. He's also an avid cyclist and resides here in Southern Cal, obviously with his wife Ellen, son Aiden, and daughter Brooke. So let's give Bill a round of applause. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions, and then at the end we'll have some opportunity to open it up to the floor for a little bit of interaction and Q&A. But first, I'm going to drill Bill. Okay, so Bill, so you're the CEO of Reyes Coca-Cola Bottling, which is a part of the franchise system together with the Coca-Cola Company in Atlanta. For those of us here in the room who are less familiar with the franchise system, can you tell us a bit about how it works and what does good franchise alignment and a healthy partnership really entail?
Be glad to. First, just thank you for having me here.
Sure.
I appreciate it. And it's great to meet the rest of the Pepperdine faculty and to see old friends like Doreen Shanahan, who's also a Coca-Cola alumni, who's here. It's just great. So I really appreciate the privilege of being here. And I thank my colleagues from Reyes Coca-Cola who are here. If you'll just raise your hands to see, we had a good turnout tonight.
Excellent.
So thank you for being here.
Let's give Reyes Coca-Cola a...
So franchise alignment and the franchise system, I'll start there. Simplest concept, think of it as brand owner, the Coca-Cola Company, brands that go from Coca-Cola to Fairlife Milk, Dasani Water, Smart Water. It's a full range. Energy drinks to milk to, I think you brought in kombucha. Minute Maid brands, quite a few brands. The job of the Coca-Cola Company is to build those brands. At the simplest level, it's to build those brands. They build consumer demand for those brands. And then on the other end of it is the independent bottler who has a franchise territory of the Coca-Cola Company, and their job is to develop the market. So to take that demand and then turn it into a market. So we have, in our territory, we have 41 million consumers in our market. And our job is to get as many of them drinking our products, the full range of products that they choose every single day. So that's kind of the setup of it. It gets into a lot more than that, and it's never as clean as that, as you know. But the company does so you see the commercials, the company does that. You see sponsorships of the Olympics and those sort of endeavors. The company will do all of that. And then they expect the bottler to develop the local community, so to be the face of Coca-Cola in the local community. So for us at Reyes Coca-Cola, that means that we do everything from procurement of raw materials to the manufacturing of the products. So the largest Coca-Cola production facility in North America is in Downey, California. And then we have another production facility in LA and another production facility in the Bay Area in San Leandro. But we produce around 180 million cases of product a year. And some of that we ship out to other bottlers, and then we have some that we bring in from other bottlers and from the Coca-Cola Company that they make. But our range goes from procurement to manufacturing to public affairs to calling on customers, just the full range of being Coca-Cola in the local market. And then you get into franchise alignment. What is good franchise alignment? Okay, so all of you are in relationships, could be spousal, could be your significant other, could be your child. The franchise alignment spans all those. and just like those, the key ingredient is building trust. Mm-hmm. So you'd think it would be simple between the Coke Company and any one of the bottlers in the U.S., but it's not. We don't even make money the same way. So at the very core of why we're in business together, yes, we want the brands to grow, but both of us want to make money, and we make money differently. And we care about the money, one line of the P&L differently than the other line of the P&L. So franchise alignment, we actually have a framework that you'll remember well, Doreen probably remembers well, that really spelled out what are the steps that we go through to make sure we keep good franchise alignment, we're focused on the same end goals, and that we check that throughout our organization. Because when it goes wrong, it goes really wrong, and the market suffers, the brand suffers, and both companies suffer. And I think that's something that we've worked on really closely as bottlers throughout the United States in our time. It's, by the way, we're 2 years and 1 week for Reyes Coca-Cola. We celebrated our 2 years birthday, but it's something that we work on very closely.
And so let's just touch on that, Bill. So this used to be like Coca-Cola Refreshments territory, right? That
Yes.
was run and owned by the Coca-Cola company, and then that was sold to the Reyes family. What should we know about them? Can you tell us a little bit about their sort of business philosophy and who they are as an organization?
Be glad to. It's important. I think it's context to everybody. We have roughly 6,000 employees in Reyes Coca-Cola in this territory. 99% of them were with the Coca-Cola company as the Coca-Cola West operating unit of Coca-Cola Refreshments, and have come over into Reyes Coca-Cola Bottling. And so you think, same company, same people, same company, but it's very different. I think if you talk to any one of our associates here tonight, who we are 2 years later is very different. And it comes from being in a large public corporate environment to going into a family-owned environment. So I guess if there are three things I'd think about with the Reyes family, one is it's a family-owned business. The board of Reyes Holdings are 6 of the brothers, and the other one sells a shrink wrap that goes around our pallets of products. So we have a designated shrink wrap. One day I complained about the price of shrink wrap, and I learned that was not the best way to advance your career, and we buy that same shrink wrap today. But it's family-owned. These are the two primary brothers that are listed as co-owners, Chris and Jude Reyes, along with the rest of their family, grew up in a very middle-class family. They didn't have money. They worked really hard. They did odd jobs. They'll tell you they delivered newspapers. They caddied for golf. And when Chris got out of school, he talked his brother into not finishing his school, which he later did, but to come join him for a business endeavor. They borrowed money from their dad, and they bought a Schlitz beer distributorship. Some of you in this room are not old enough to know Schlitz beer, but it wasn't that great. And they turned a small Schlitz beer distributorship in South Carolina into a $35 billion company, the ninth largest privately owned company in the U.S., and with operations in 20 countries around the world. And they believe in family, and it emanates in every bit of the values of the company. So one is family owned. Two, I think it's a growth company. So I'm an early riser. I get up in the morning, and my dog, if I'm home, my dog gets me up, and we go run, and we're probably back just before 5 a.m., and I'll have 5 or 6 messages from Chris and Jude before I get on the bike to ride the spin bike. And they're into their business. They let you manage it completely. They expect you to run it. They hold you accountable. They're very supportive, but they know their business, and they love their business. And they're growth oriented. It's not about the money. It's about growing and giving back. They're very generous, but it's growth, and that permeates through the culture. I think the third thing is just the construct of Reyes Holdings. There are 5 CEOs in Reyes Holdings, so I'm one of 5. There's another Coca-Cola CEO. He runs the business that we have in the Great Lakes area, primarily Great Lakes. It's 8 states. We get the Great Lakes area, and then we just bought Tullahoma, Tennessee. Most of you couldn't find that on a map, but it does serve Coke, and so there's CEO of that business, a CEO of The beer business, so Reyes Holdings is the largest beer distributor in the U.S. Primary partnerships include Constellation brands, so you think of Corona, Modelo, Miller Coors, Sam Adams, a lot of the craft beers, so big partnerships there. So Coke, beer, and then food distribution. And the largest part of that business is Martin Brower. It distributes primarily for McDonald's in 20 different countries around the world. And then the other part of the business in food distribution is Reinhardt Food Service. And they work up and down the street in probably the 2/3 of the right side of the country. Now that business is being sold. It's the first business Reyes Holdings has ever sold. And the reason I think it was gut-wrenching for them to sell it. They did not, the brothers don't ever really dispute. They disputed on this, and they sold it because they couldn't grow it. You either had to buy somebody or you had to be bought. And the company that they were trying to buy, who was much bigger than Reinhardt, wouldn't sell to them, but they would buy. So we're selling that business. But that gives you a sense of family-owned, growth-oriented, and diversified.
Great. Thanks, Bill. Give us a feel. We've heard about the dog in the morning, but a day in the life of, or maybe a week, because I guess each day is quite different, but kind of a week in the life of being the CEO of Reyes Coca-Cola.
As you know, in the Coke company, being there 30 years, you got to experience a lot of different jobs. From the place they used to make us work as engineers, they called the dungeon, and that was an experience, to the jobs that you listed that I was fortunate enough to experience. This is my favorite job, though, because it works across the widest range. And when I think about my roles, my first role has to be CEO of Reyes Coca-Cola. My job is to build the right culture, get the right strategy set, make sure the right standards are in the business for our performance, and support great people. Get great people to come and then support them in their roles. And of course, to deliver the financial commitments of our company to Reyes Holdings. So one is CEO of Reyes Coca-Cola. The second, though, is to be a leader in the Coca-Cola system. And this has been a really interesting, learning for Reyes Holdings. In the beer business, not many of the distributors work together. They're very fragmented. It's kind of like Coke was, 30 or 40 years ago. And so they don't work together very much. If Deryck helps me, but then he's going to buy me in a couple months, all he did was run up his price. In the Coke business, we work together really closely. People have been in the business 100 years, 3 generations of families. And so we partner together closely. So my second role is a leader in the Coke system. We co-own with other bottlers the IT company that runs our business, called Coke One North America. We co-own a purchasing company who procures our raw materials. So I sit on both of those boards. And then we operate with it's called a senior governance board, but it's really the company and the top 7 bottlers work together on strategic things where we need to be aligned, and on policy things. And so my second role is to be a leader in the Coke system. Third role is to be a community leader. It's expected of me, I think it's expected of us as Coca-Cola people. I mean, you think about your local Coca-Cola bottler should be involved with the community. It's expected of us from Reyes Holdings and from the family. And so my involvement is listed with Special Olympics. How many of you know of the LA 84 Foundation? You've ever heard of it? A few? So LA 84 Foundation is the money that was left over from the 84 Olympics. Remember, the Olympics before that were Montreal, Moscow, Munich, either tragedies or broke. And then LA was profitable. There's still $170 million left from the 84 Olympics. And our job on the board is to grow that endowment and then to provide access to sport for underprivileged youth. Great. It's a great endeavor, and that's what's expected of us from Reyes Holdings.
Great, excellent. So Bill, you and I go back some way, but you certainly have always had a reputation for being a very empowering leader, focused on building strong culture, and yet high-performance teams. As you built your career, as you went through that journey, what were some of the key sort of defining moments, some of the key lessons you learned, people you learned from? Just could you give us a little bit of a feel for a couple of those real key moments in your career, the lessons learned? Some
of them are painful. No, it's been a great journey, and I think for me as a leader, being able to learn from other leaders with more experience, and to have people who, in some cases, I might have been assigned to them, like I was to Deryck, but to have the experience of someone. To have the opportunity to have someone with more experience than me coaching me in a way where they were genuinely interested in my career, which you displayed all the time with me. And we were talking earlier, what I knew tonight was going to be hard, because Deryck asked the best questions of anybody with whom I ever worked. He never gave me advice, he just asked me hard questions, and that made me think and learn. And I think for me, having that opportunity in Coca-Cola, and then it's always helped me to have someone outside of Coke, is someone who knew enough about Coke to be helpful, but wasn't in the Coke company or Reyes Holdings, who would be my coach, who sat to the side but knew enough to ask those same sort of questions. And I've been fortunate to have a few people like that throughout my career, and it's been tremendously valuable, and I'll never let myself go without having somebody like that anymore. So I think it was opportunities with great managers, and then developing people who cared about me and were willing to give me honest feedback.
So when you pick the Bills of the future, when you pick the sort of emerging talent, the up-and-coming leaders, what are some of the characteristics that you look for in those emerging leaders?
I guess it's a simple way to say it. I want difference makers. And I think all of us have the requirement. In our roles, we have a requirement for the table stakes. People need to be technically competent in their area, whether it's finance, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing. They've got to be technically competent and deep and skilled. But they also have to have the soft skills. And a lot of times that's what makes the difference in our world, are people who understand how to work with others, how to network, how to collaborate and make. When you put a difference maker onto a team, it's not like adding one more person, it's exponential, because they make the team better and they impact the business better. And that's what I'm looking for as we build out our team. Not just competence in the technical area, but the ability to make our team better by working with others in a special way.
Thanks, Bill. We've been focusing a little bit in the business school about the changing environment, the smart machine age, the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and the changes that's bringing to the world of business. Are you seeing that impact your business? And if so, what steps are you taking to take advantage of that?
Everywhere in our business, it's impacting it. From the supply chain to how people order and interact with our products. So I'll give you a couple. We just completed a project with McKinsey to look at our supply chain, from procurement to getting the product out to our warehouses. So all of the manufacturing process. And we're rich in data. But probably a lot of the companies that you work with are the same way. We didn't use the data very well. It wasn't visible, and people couldn't use it and digest it in a way to help them drive performance in their job. So we're taking that learning and we're digitizing our supply chain. And it's required us to hire different people. It's required us to change our processes, invest in technology, and really link everything together. So that's one example, and easy to see in the supply chain. From an ordering process. So I think since any of us have worked in the Coke business, the way an order of Coke came was you sent someone into an outlet, and they went in and produced the order and brought it back, and then we picked it from a warehouse and put it on a truck. and it's expensive. Sometimes they don't need an order, and you still send someone out there. And now with today's customers, just like you interact in your business, most of them don't want to see a person. They want to do it online. So the majority of our ordering for small up and down the street customers has now moved to what we call mycoke.com. And it's a portal where they can order their product, they can get service, they can get marketing materials, and they order more, and they're happier. And so for us, it's game changing. You reduce your costs, you improve your customer satisfaction, and you make more money. That's another example. I think there's the final one on the list is, you know, we have always had a CIO in our business. But we've changed our thinking about the CIO role from being the person who did everything digital and technology to the CIO is now going to be the person who runs the railroad. What IT software we're going to use, what's the cybersecurity we're going to have, what hardware we're going to have. And we're in the process of hiring a chief data officer. And the data officer will work on taking the data that we have. Again, I said we're rich in data, poor in applying it. And their role will be to look at opportunities to drive the top line of our P&L and revenue growth, and then also to remove costs from our operating expenses. And I think for us, that will be a game changer, because we really, the pace of change now with everything that interacts with us is so different than it was 5 or 10 years ago.
Bill, if you were advising a young executive wanting to build a career in corporate America, what sort of advice would you be giving them as they look to build their career? And would it be different advice than you would have given 5 or 10 years ago, or is it still the same?
My advice always starts with come to Pepperdine. Come to Pepperdine. There we go. I have to say, though, I'm fascinated by it. I've learned so much tonight just about what's offered, from all the way to EDBA.
An executive DBA.
Yeah, I mean, you can learn forever, and you need to. You need to now. I mean, you have to be relevant. So back to the question: what advice would I give, and how would it be different? You know, I think a lot of the things are still the same. You know, you have to have, as I say, great technical skills, great people skills. You have to experience a lot of different things if you want to be a general manager and a leader in your company. I remember that was a hard thing in a corporate environment. You always wanted to move up, and everybody would be advising you to move laterally. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me in my career, because I learned from engineering to marketing and sales and domestic and international, and I would never have had that opportunity if I didn't take those moments to go learn something different. You know, develop your coaches, those sorts of things. I think those are all, they were relevant 5 or 10 years ago. They're relevant today. The difference is what we were just talking about. The pace of change in our business, I'm sure in yours, is so different than it was 10 years ago. It's so much more rapid that you have to learn all the time. So you have to figure out your learning process. You have to get great at change management. We used to look at, in Coke, you knew every 3 or 5 years you'd have a reorganization. And that was the change management. It was unfortunate, but it was true. That was the change management you worked through. Well, today your business is being disrupted everywhere. So one of the gentlemen that I met tonight, the first thing he said to me was, "Are you interested in plastics?" And you know, this is one of our bottles. San Francisco Airport just banned what they call single-use bottles. Every one of our bottles is recyclable. It's made to be recycled. We want it back. We can't get enough recycled material. And he's talking to me about a process where you can have plastic that can be thrown into the ocean and it will biodegrade. Those are learning things that, you know, if you're not learning all the time and trying to make yourself better, you just miss, and you're disrupted and your business is gone. So
it's interesting. We had the CFO of Walmart up at our campus a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying something along those lines, that their sort of super centers were so phenomenally successful, just churning out cash and profit. 8 years ago, and they didn't even notice Amazon, you know. And who would have thought, you know, that somebody selling books online would become the kind of company that it has become. Now, of course, they're really big into online and doing quite well. So, Bill, you know, we talk sometimes about successes and careers, but I guess we all have failures too, right? So there must have been a couple of like stumbling moments, a couple of failures that you must have had, and if you would, be so kind to share maybe one or two, and kind of what did you learn from that? How did you pick yourself up from that and move forward?
We all do, right?
Yeah.
I've got more than you folks care to talk about tonight. But, there were a few. Doreen was in a role before I moved out here to the West Coast. She got promoted from it, and I moved into the role. And this is one of the first learning experience. We had a customer, all of you know Baja Fresh, right? Proudly serves Coca-Cola. But it was one of the fastest growing customers in the portfolio that I led out here after Doreen moved on. And it was great. It grew at 30, 40% every year. The team that was operating on it was very happy. They told me everything was great, and because I had problems in other areas, I'd just go to other areas and worry about those. Until I got a call from the CEO of Baja Fresh, and he said, your team doesn't get it, and you should come see me today. And they switched to Pepsi. And, it was a moment for me where I said, how could that possibly happen under me? I never had that happen. And, I just learned the importance of, I can't remember if you used to say this or Sandy Douglas, but stick a toothpick in it and see if it's really cake. And even though things look great, make sure to understand under the hood enough so that you know it's great. Now, thank God we got it back, because I think I didn't sleep for years after that. But it was just it was a learning experience in my evolution as a leader to understand how to know enough of the details to get it right. So that's of course one. I think the other for me was when I was the on-premise leader for North America. On-premise in North America, think about it as everything from Pepperdine University to local eating and drinking to at work to vending. It was a big part of our business, and we were really going downhill with it when I got put in that job. We had 2 years of double-digit declines, and I came into the role, got a great team that we were able to build, and we figured out what the answer was and how to get it corrected. And then we proceeded to fail for a year because we had the right answer, and we were going to tell everybody what the right answer was and how to go get it right. And, the learning for me in that was you might have the right answer, but until you get everybody on board with the right answer, it doesn't really matter. And, it was back to the softer skills of going to these proud bottlers and who they knew the right answer to, and figuring out how to get that accepted in their odds are, as we'd say it, their way of doing business. And really it required to go back and network. And in 2 years, we had the thing turned around, and we're growing almost double digit and making a lot more money. And everybody, it kind of left a little legacy with it. But it was the failure first that allows us to produce the results better at the end. And I'm sure my team could list a bunch of other failures too, but I'll stick with those.
We'll stick with those too. Great. How involved is Reyes in the community, and perhaps you personally, service, education, sustainability, etc.? What sort of involvement and impact are you having?
Yeah, very involved. I think, to me, that's one of the things I'm most proud of the Coke system. It was a part of how we operated in the Coke company, and it's a part of how we operate Reyes Holdings. It's really expected. Just give you an example. So we've talked about Special Olympics a little bit. So when was it, Nancy? 2015, the Special Olympics World Games were in Los Angeles, and they needed 2,000 volunteers opening day. and opening day was a weekday. And 700 of them were from our operating unit of the 2,000. And it's just, it's the passion of a Coke person to be involved. Now, most of what we do today as a Coke system is around empowerment of females. It's around the environment, and it's around higher education. Those are the three places that as a Coke system we've kind of rallied around to be involved with. And so we tracked the number of hours. I think last year we did 5,000 hours of donated time in the community with that. So it's a point of pride for us. And we talked about the importance of building culture in an organization. To me, that's one of the things that you get that right, and you help to build a strong culture in an organization. So then for me personally, you talked about the things which I'm involved now. They're great organizations. We're proud to be a part of them. We'll be Saturday and Sunday in Fountain Valley with the Special Olympics with the team who's here from Reyes Coca-Cola. And our kids get involved with it and everything. So for us, it's that. And then our kids are in local Catholic schools here, and we get involved with the charities there, and those sort of passion points for us.
Excellent. You've kind of touched on it already, but when you're not the CEO of Reyes Coca-Cola, what should we know about Bill O'Brien?
I hope I hope my answer to this is the same that our people would say. I'm no different a person. The exact same person that you get leading the business as you do if you run into me outside of the business. My family is important to me. I'm a second generation Coke person. My dad was the breadwinner at age 13 in his family of 10 kids during the Great Depression. His mom was home, but his dad had left. He went to World War II, fought in World War II in D-Day and the Battle of the Bulge. Came back and started on a route truck for Coca-Cola, and earned, worked through his degree and worked for the company for 40 years. Wow. And he and my mother instilled in us, a lot of work ethic values, discipline. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had a great family, and I think those things are what you would find from me now, and probably why I connect so much with working in the Coke system and with Reyes Holdings, because you feel those same values in both the companies. And hopefully that's what you get from me outside of here.
Excellent. Great. So I think we got time for maybe just a couple of questions from the floor. Is that okay, Bill?
Yeah.
A couple of questions. Have we got a microphone? Excellent. The lady in the front.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Rosie. I'm an executive MBA student with Pepperdine, and I work in sales and marketing in fashion business. And my question to you is, if you would describe your style of leadership with like 3 words, how would you describe it?
Can we have fun with this?
Yes.
Okay. So let's make this interactive. So I'll pick on 3 people who work on our team, and they can say one word. We do this sometimes. So I'm going to start with Nancy, and then you can choose the second person. Okay. Teaching me not to start with Nancy. Who are you picking on now?
I'll pick Maria. Carrie.
Should have started with Maria. God, I want to come hug you. Okay, who do you call on?
Your bonus is going to increase this year.
Yeah, it's going to get her bonus. So who else? Determined. Thank you. For each of you, I think they're being honest. Yeah. Now, Ed Dufresne is the first person I met at Coca-Cola when I started as an intern.
Really?
From Georgia Tech.
No way.
And we've worked together for all those years.
Wow.
In different parts of the business for a lot of the time, but we work together now in Reyes Coca-Cola. Yeah, I think that's what's neat about these businesses. In their own way, we're all family. I feel just as connected to Deryck and Doreen as I did when I worked beside them in the company. It's neat. Thank you for the question. Did that...
My 3 words would have been high integrity, curious, authentic.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Let's take another couple of questions. Yes, over here in the front, sort of 3 rows back.
Hello, my name is Rosa Carrillo, and I've actually done some executive coaching at your company.
Oh, have you really?
Yes, and I'm very impressed with your culture.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I
Yes.
appreciate it. You could probably do a lot of work on me. but thank you for saying that and for your
Yes,
help
thank
to our
you.
folks.
So I'm curious about the Baja Fresh story that you told. What was it that made them so upset?
The gentleman's name at the time was, who was the CEO of it, was Greg Dollarhide. And Greg had a track record of successfully taking, small, strong, new brands like Baja Fresh and taking them nationally and making them very successful. And I think 2 things got him upset. One was that our team thought of him as a local customer and wasn't seeing, we didn't get his objective. His objective was to leverage the greater Coca-Cola company and all of the marketing resources to build his brand into something nationally that he could sell. And we missed it. We thought he wanted combo meals in plastic cups. And we completely missed what was important to him, and he was frustrated by that. And I think the second thing is that, I come in after Deryck, I hadn't been there. I was still trying to get in the customers who wouldn't see me because they liked Deryck better. So, that took a while. But exactly. There you go. But I think, it was, for sometimes with customers, they're mad. They just want you to show up. And in some cases, they're really happy with your team. In some cases, they want someone who happens to have the title at that moment to come and show that they care. And I missed that cue. And it won't happen again.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me, I'm Steve. I graduated from the executive MBA program at Pepperdine. My question is, I'm wondering how the China trade and tariff situation has impacted Coca-Cola, or has it, and where you may see that going.
It's funny. You might think just sitting here in California, Nevada, I would say, well, it doesn't impact us. It's crazy how it's impacted us. I'll give you 2 examples that you can identify with easily. Any of you ever have Coke from Mexico? The authentic old formula and the scratched bottle, and we were in the process of having our Coke from Mexico change from one manufacturer to another. We wanted to expand the size of the bottles which we were using to bring it in, and we even thought about having some of it manufactured in the U.S. under the formula. And all of a sudden, exchange rates went crazy. We weren't allowed to. We were worried about importing things during the trade war. It changed everything with it in a blink of an eye. The other example is just in aluminum. Aluminum, we use a lot of aluminum in our products, obviously the cans. And I talked about the procurement company that we co-own with other bottlers. It was a wild swing in commodities, and commodities have a big impact on our cost of goods. We have some pricing power with the Coke brand, but when you're trying to develop a new brand, or you're in a category like Dasani, or a tea category, you don't have the same pricing power. And it's very difficult when your commodities go haywire because there aren't a lot of levers that you can. You're not running into Walmart and telling them you're taking a price increase tomorrow. It just doesn't work that way. You might be able to go up and down the street, but those 2 things really impacted. One was our strategy in selling, and the other was our cost of goods in manufacturing. A great question.
Okay, one last question. Oh, Doreen, you have to be the one to ask the question. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I should have known this was coming.
So first, thank you so much for sharing your time and your insights tonight. I
thank you for that.
sincerely appreciate it. I know we all appreciate it. You mentioned that earlier that you had to manifest a change between employees that worked for the parent company to employees that worked for Coca-Cola Reyes. How did you go about helping them with that transition?
Whew. As I said, 99% of the people were here before, and it's largely the same leadership team. Maria, I think you're the only new member of what we call our executive leadership team who came in from outside, right? I believe. So it's largely the same team, but the cultural change was massive, and we were all going through it. It's funny, we laugh about it now because it was just a matter of where you were on the change curve, not whether you were going to have the change curve, but where you were on it. And quite honestly, I think the only reason we got through it was because we have a team that's really tightly knit and honestly cares about each other outside of work. And everybody helped each other with it. And it wasn't just that the goal line changed, how success was measured. It was that your entire network of how you got things done and how you operated was different. And you lost confidence in your ability to get things done. And me included. I mean, 30 years in the Coke company, you knew who to go to and what you had to say to get something approved. And, in this, I assumed it was this brother, but then there was this gatekeeper, and it was just different. And everybody at one point lost their footing. And the good news is the people of Reyes Holdings, when they'd see it, they're like, oh, of course, we've been through this every time. We bought 4 beer companies last year. I think we bought 2 this year so far, 1 or 2 already this quarter. So they're used to people going through the change curve. And once they realized where we were and that we had technical competency and we're good at our jobs, like an arm came around your shoulder and let us help you out. Let us guide you the rest of the way. We've been through this. Yeah, here's how this operates. And eventually you learn the network. And now we're 2 years in, and you have a leadership team that's on the balls of its feet, much more confident than 2 years ago when we weren't really sure, and everybody was going through their moments of doubt. It's been a great learning experience. And I think we're all better leaders for it. But there were, I never knew what melatonin was. until about 6 months in, and I think I'm past that phase now. But it was it was a hard learning experience, and I appreciate the question. It's great to be here with you.
So let's give Bill a round of applause and appreciation. This is an award for Bill, a Best for the World leader, indeed. Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's take a photograph here. Quickly tighten up my jacket.
Here we go.
Look like a movie star.
Excellent.
He does.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you so much. I just want to say
Thanks, everyone.
what a great honor it is to be up here with you. Someone I really admire and respect, and who's always, whether it's me or anybody else, he always took the time to care about people in the company. And his shoes, they're still being filled at the Coke company and the Coke system. So thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, thanks for coming, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the evening. I've got a